America. That's right. We're rolling along. This is the Made America Show right here on the King's Broadcasting Network. Welcome. It feels so great to be back behind the Golden Hammer microphone. We hope all of you had a great Easter holiday. And we got a lot of business to take care of. And now I'd like to welcome the co-host of the Made American Show from Cheryl Manufacturing. You know, I got to start throwing that Cheryl Manufacturing in there, Greg. I know you're going to fuss at me, but hey, you guys do a great job as a great American company, and it's a great fit, made in America. So, Greg, how you been doing? How's your vacation the last couple of weeks?
I've been great and working and getting some stuff done in the garden finally. It's nice to get out there. We had a wonderful Easter, whole family together. It was a good time. How have you been, Michael?
I've been doing great. I'm a news buff. You know, I stay on top of everything, and tell you, I knew when we took our hiatus a couple of weeks, there was going to be a lot of breaking news again, and there's a lot going on right now. And obviously, our president's now, he's been teasing us for the last 3-4 weeks on his tariffs and all the deals that are in the hopper, but he's going to have to start posting some wins on that board. You know what I mean? And so, hey, my stock market is down again today, and I know I'm not getting nervous. I believe in him, but I can only take a hit, and I'm not selling. So, but a lot going on in the last couple of weeks, and so give us an update, Greg. What's happening right now?
Well, things shifted a couple of weeks ago. The main focus shifted from commerce over to Treasury on the trade and tariff issues, and things have actually quieted down. I mean, this was a process where I believe the president went out there along with members of the administration, really did their best to shake things up and see how people would react. And that certainly happened, but now it's the negotiation phase. It's where all of these countries are sitting down, coming back to the United States going, okay, we realized that we really needed to make some changes, and let's work this out. So that's where we're at, I think.
Well, and I hate to, we had a tragedy. We lost the Pope. But I'm going to tie this in because that scene that I saw him sitting now with the Ukraine president by himself, Zelensky, just sitting there, and he just sent a strong message because our world leaders, he showed up and they all were there. And they wanted to pound him in the head, and he kind of put them all aside and say, I got to talk to this man. Y'all kind of politely get out the way because we got a major issue right now. And I didn't want to say this in the beginning about Putin, and we all know, he's got the relationship with him in the past. But at the end of the day, and I know Zelensky, he ruffled his feathers, but at the end of the day, we do see that Putin is, I hate to say it, but he's not interested in peace. And I think our president just realized that. Sitting down there, listening to him, holding his hand and say, well, all hell's about to break loose. What is your feeling on that? Are you getting maybe I'm just delusional, but are you getting kind of the same, drawback on that? Because that's going to dictate everything else. The economy, the trade wars, the war. It's all related.
It certainly is. I focus mainly on the economy and the trade issues, but what this really is it's a post-World War II realignment of world politics. And a lot of that has to do with trade. Some of it has to do with security arrangements, NATO, and other people are going to have to step up. The United States has been footing the bill for a lot of this since the end of World War II and the Marshall Plan. So it's time to, as President Trump would say, put Americans first and put America first and level the playing field a little bit. Some of these, China is hardly an emerging country that deserves third world status on things like subsidizing their mail going internationally. So it's time for a hard reset. And again, the way to do that is to shake things up. And that's where we're at right now and on trade and other issues.
Well, and that's what I like about this show. It's a combination of everything. It's the politics. It's the patent. It's the made in America. It's the blueprint. And obviously we got some guests coming up that's gonna actually solidify what we do here. And that's to hear from them, these young companies that are really trying to make a mark, and give them the tools and the blueprint for them to succeed. But we cannot do that unless we got, fair trade, unless we are patent protected. And I think, after what you listen to Rita, the inventor lady, talking about the rules and the law and the protection, now we have the politics part of it, because it's all linked together. Everything is linked together here. It's just that there's not one show that can do all these things, and we spreading out over 3 hours the cover without confusing the audience. You understand? It's hard to explain what I'm trying to say. We're not trying to confuse them. We're trying to give them the whole picture. It's just that we have to do it in a little different way.
Right. And I was just on the phone earlier this morning with a friend of mine who makes stainless steel clad pots and pans. And they've had to, because there's no manufacturer here in the United States that can even come within 3x of the cost, import their handles from China. Well, that just all changed. And they're putting together a business and looking to buy equipment so that they can manufacture those things here in the United States. That's going to take a minute, but that's where the real benefit from all this comes from.
Well, I just saw the biggest furniture manufacturer said the same thing you're just saying. They were calling on the carpet about American made, and the wood is fabricated there, blah blah blah. But the handles and the metal that the drawers go on, the frame metal, the revolving frame metal, what I'm talking about, for the drawers, that all has to be outsourced. But he said the same thing that you just said. He said, for the first time, we're going to start bringing this back to the United States, where the total technology is done here in the United States. Look, as you know, I got no problem with assembly. I got no problem of, let's face it, we have to have certain components that have to come in. I just want it fabricated here in the United States, because at the end of the day, that's the most important part. Providing the jobs, putting it together so we can have a good quality of life to our neighborhoods,
Well, one of the things that Jim Stuber and I have done on a couple of episodes is clarify that issue. It's to put made in USA on your product. All, or essentially all, has to be made here in the United States. That's tough to do in some cases.
Yeah.
There are other ways that you can describe it, like manufactured in the United States with globally sourced parts, anything over maybe 65%. And then sometimes assembled in the USA is the way that you have to go. But I applaud the companies that are at least making an effort at it and reshoring as many parts as they possibly can. And it would not happen but for these tariffs.
Yeah. I just wish 27 years ago I was smart when I first, I was the guy Holland Wolf 27 years ago when I saw it all happening. And then I saw the Chinese come in with their cameras at the trade shows, and I knew where this was going. And I did speeches all over to CEOs, and they invite me in, and I explained to them, boy, this is going to come. Eventually, this is going to bite you in the butt. And it bit them in the butt bad, because at the end of the day, they didn't realize that everything was being stolen. I mean, and we had Little Giant Ladders on a little while ago on my show. I interviewed them 26 years ago. And not a knockoff ladder products that are out there, because, look, let's face it, when you get to that first threshold of money, once you get to the first part of threshold sales, the big bad wolves are coming. You understand what I'm saying? They're coming at you. They're going to steal it, rip you off, or either tie you up in patent court, and then they're going to ask you just take your patent. And we did shows on that already. You remember that, Greg? It happened.
Yeah, it's been happening for too long, and this putting up some trade barriers and getting serious about this is going to put an end to that. And a lot of manufacturers out there just can't wait.
Yeah, and that's right. And we got to get out, we got to get the people at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, and we got to get the people over there at the Capitol to grow a little spine a little bit. And I hate to be so harsh, but to protect our patents. And we're going to do another show on that. But hey, we got to take a short break. Hey, stay with us right here on the King's Broadcasting Network. This is Made in America. Me and the Made in America guy will be right back. Yeah, hey, I'll come back now, you hear?
Tired of struggling just for your customers to notice you? Your business needs Constant Contact. Constant Contact's award-winning marketing platform has helped millions of small businesses stand out, stay top of mind, and see big results. With powerful tools like email, SMS, social media, and events, you'll say the right thing at the right time to sell more, raise more, and fast-track growth. Plus, everything's backed by Constant Contact's expert live customer support. So get going and growing with Constant Contact today. Try it free at ConstantContact.com.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Home Talk USA on the King Broadcasting Network. This is the Made in America Hour. I'm your host, Greg Owens. Before we get with our guest today from Coda, and that's not a Led Zeppelin album, that's Colorado Offset Brain Attachment. I don't know how many of you out there are familiar with that album, but it was one of my favorites when I was younger. We're going to be back with Keith and Sy to talk about their invention, their product, and a little bit about themselves and why they make it in America. But before we get with Keith and Sy, I'd like to give a shout out to our sponsor for this segment, Lion Energy. You can go anywhere with portable power solar generators. You can find them at lionenergy.com. Well, Keith, Sy, welcome to the program.
Nice to be here, Greg. Thank you.
I appreciate you guys taking the time out of your busy schedule to join me today. And I'd like to start out with you guys just giving the audience an idea of who we're listening to, who are we talking to. So, Keith, why don't you start it off with who's Keith?
Well, just a little background on myself. I grew up in Southern California, went to school there and everything, and got in the tile trades. When I just a little past 15 years old, coming up on 16, I started out with a company called Preferred Tile. A good friend of mine, Tony McCauley, we're still friends today. I think he has a company in the Valley in Southern California out by Thousand Oaks called Boulevard Tile and Stone. So I give a shout out to him. He's still going at it after all these years. And so I started learning from him. He's an incredible tile setter, and he learned from his dad. His brothers were all in a trade. So I kind of got in with a family like that back in the day. And I don't know if I want to date myself, but it's been it's been a long time. And so after spending years in California, growing up and all that, and getting married there, I moved to Southern Colorado. I decided to form a business here. Actually, let me back up a little bit. I played in a rock band back there that we were actually on the cusp of, we had 5 major record labels looking at us, and I played guitar and wrote a lot of the music in the band. And believe it or not, I guess I'll drop a name. Bon Jovi's management company was, they had a management company at that time, and they were looking at picking us up and moving us forward. And right before we were getting ready to go do something back then, the singer got in a fight with the drummer, and everything ended. And so I ended up staying in the tile trade after all these years. And but anyway, some of the music that you hear on our videos, that's some of the music that we played back then. So and the band
I was in a band as well, and our singer, songwriter, guitar player moved to Arizona, so that was the end of that.
That happens. It's like no matter how many members are in your band, it's like you're married to all of them. And and people are always like, well, why can't you just find somebody else? It's because no matter what goes on in the outside world there, when we had 4 people in our band, when those 4 people step in that room together, that's where the magic comes. And it's hard to replace that. It really is. And, I love those guys. Those guys were amazing, even though we had our differences and stuff. I still talk to one or two of them here and there today. Not as frequently as I'd like, but maybe someday soon we will. But we created amazing music together, and we had a great sound and everything. I just, I wish I was playing music and not doing tile, as a matter of fact, but I am. So anyway, but so that pushes me fast forward into Colorado. I moved out here, in '93. And I started a company in Southern Colorado called Tile Plus. That's the name of my company. And so I've been here for, a little over 30 years and doing tile and stonework out here in Southern Colorado, and bringing all my knowledge and everything from Southern California. Because when I came out here, it seemed like I went back in time like 100 years. The knowledge of, how to do things in construction and stuff wasn't as fast paced, let's say, as Southern California was, So
yeah, we're going to talk about that later in the broadcast, about how important the trades are and moving that forward as we go through with this process. But and then you started a couple companies, right?
Yes, I started Tile Plus, and then recently, about 4 years ago, to explain about my invention, CODA, which is the Colorado Offset Drain Attachment. I was on a job site with a builder, and it was a remodel job, and I went to, do a shower installation, and the shower drain had already been moved in the concrete, and the builder and the plumber moved it, and it still wasn't aligned with the shower valves. And, that's an ongoing thing in the tile trade, in the construction business. A lot of times, even in new construction, not just remodels, they'll pour a slab and the plumber's got to go out there and they put their drains in, and where, hypothetically, where the shower is going to be, where the walls are going to be, and all this. And, and during the construction phase, something moves 3 inches, something moves 6 inches, a wall moves here, a wall moves there. And by the time the house is built, the drain's in the concrete, and it's off center from where the valves are going to be. So this is an ongoing thing, not only in remodels, but also in new construction. And so this drain happened to be placed offset, and is probably 4 or 5 inches off. So I talked to the builder about layout on the walls and stuff, and we went over the shower and everything, and I was sure he knew the drain was off. So I went ahead and started tiling the walls, and he wanted me to let's say go out 30 inches on one wall, and a full tile was like 32. So being a tile setter, there was no other wall I was running into or anything. There was nothing there to stop me. So I just, as far as a layout, you want to see full tiles. It looks a lot nicer when you're doing a tile job if you can lay things out to a full tile. And so I laid it out to full tile and I ran it. And then he comes back and he says, "Hey, you ran that out to full tile." And I said, "Yeah, doesn't it look great?" And he says, "Well, it made my drain look really off." I said, "Well, your drain was already off. What do you mean? It's my fault, And he goes, "Oh no, it really looks off." And I said, "Well, why don't you go down to the store and try to find something we can relocate the drain." Go ahead, Greg.
Well, it sounds like you've solved the problem, and we're going to have to take a quick break here. But when we come back, we'll pick up on that, and we'll also introduce Sy and let him tell a little bit about his participation in this adventure. This is Home Talk USA on the King Broadcasting Network, the Made in America Hour. I'm your host, Greg Owens. We will be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to Home Talk USA on the King Broadcasting Network. I'm your host, Greg Owens, and this is the Made in America Hour. We're here with Keith Frank and Sy Eckhart. They are the CODA, Colorado Offset Drain Attachment. Before we get back with these two guys and talk a little bit more about putting in drains correctly, not 4 inches off to the right, I'd like to give a shout out to our sponsor for this segment, Aztec Washer. Revolutionary and innovative roofing products since 1968. Their motto is seal it right, seal it tight. You can find them at aztecwasher.com. Keith, welcome back, and we'll get with you here in a second,
Okay.
Sy. But you were talking about basically solving a problem that's a reoccurring problem. And I am not a tile setter and I'm not a builder, but what you were describing sounds very expensive to correct once the mistake is made. And I would imagine a big part of your product mitigates the cost of having to go through that experience, have 7 meetings, figure out a solution, and then start cracking concrete and moving it all over the place.
Yes, it does. A little bit on that background story still with that builder. So how it came to be is I told him, I said, well, he goes, well, hey, do they have something that we can move this drain, 4 or 5 inches? And I said, well, sure, there's got to be something out there, just my logical mind, and I said, well, there's got to be something at your local plumbing supply place or at Home Depot. I said, why don't you run down there and get something and I'll install it and we'll move the drain over. He's like, okay. So he takes off and he's gone for about 2 hours. He comes back a little disgruntled. And he's like, I can't find anything. All I found is this huge, offset drain thing that they had at Home Depot. It only moves it maybe a half an inch. And then he talked about a linear drain that you could move left or right and cut it. And that was it. It didn't solve the problem that we had. And because this was more off the wall, it wasn't aligned. It wasn't up against the wall for like a linear drain, for the use of a linear drain. And so when I'm talking to him about it, I get a universal download and about information. And I'm like, wow, this is a huge problem. I just got a download to solve this problem. And I was like, okay. So I went home that day and he was mad at me and he was blaming me. And then I went home. I was walking around the kitchen. I couldn't. The energy was there. I told my wife, I said, okay, we got to go to Home Depot. I got to go buy some parts and I've got to make this thing. It's in my head. It won't go away. I've got to do this. So I went to Home Depot. I bought a bunch of plumbing parts, like 2-inch parts and everything that were in my head. I had the full schematic was in my brain. And then I came home and the next morning I had cut parts up and I melted them all down on the stove to the shapes and the sizes of what I was seeing in my mind. And I actually have a video of that, the first coda that I made. And
the Genesis moment. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was actually March 2nd, 4 years ago. So like in 2021, I think that was. And anyway, so I took that product to him that next morning and I was showing it to him. And I go, look, I solved your problem. He's looking at me, he goes, well, you're not going to install that thing. I go, no, I'm not going to install it. And I said, well, thank you. And I shook his hand. He said, what for? And I said, well, you just made me a millionaire. Thank you. I appreciate it for all your disgruntled ideas and all the stuff. And he's just looking at me like, F you and blah, 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 But I went on to finish tiling his job and did all that stuff. But that's how CODA started right there. And then I went on to putting up some drawings and everything. And then a friend of mine had introduced me to Sy previously. We were working on a project. So I called up Sy and I said, hey, I need to put some 3D drawings together. I need to find a manufacturer. I need to do this. And that's how Sy came into the picture with CODA.
Sy,
with drawings and everything.
That's fascinating. Sy, welcome to the show. And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what your role is in CODA?
Yeah, well, I'm a graphic designer, primarily. I've gotten into a lot of other things with CODA, which is awesome. It's pretty cool. Like Keith said, a mutual friend introduced us, someone I had been doing design work for at the time. And pretty early in my career, I had some experience, but I was getting started and getting to meet Keith and work on a new product, and especially something made in America, and someone in our local area was just awesome to me. I mean, it was a big step, a step up from what we had been doing. And so Keith, like you said, contacted me and he was needing to get some drawings together, some CAD work and stuff to really make this thing come to life. And so I've also got a business partner. We teamed up and we got with Keith and we started making things happen. So we did the initial drawing. It was actually just a 2D drawing. I had some engineering experience, but barely. So we did a 2D drawing, the front view, top view, side view of the product. And we were able to take that to a engineer who could use that drawing to actually make a 3D CAD file that we could then take to prototyping and all that. And since then, we've, of course, like I said, graphic design. So we've done website, marketing materials, online advertisements, social media advertisements. And then we also have had the honor of going along to trade shows and acting as salespeople. And so it's just awesome. I mean, going to the shows has probably been the funnest thing. And just meeting these contractors, meeting the tile setters, meeting the plumbers, and seeing their reaction. Because we've put a lot of work into this product. I mean, like he said, for 4 years. And I mean, that's consistently over those 4 years we've been working.
Well, I think, America, what you're listening to right here is a story that is exciting for these guys. It repeats itself all over the country. And this is what my passion is. This is all about bringing jobs back to the United States and providing these opportunities to people like Sy and Keith to go out there, invent things, and then make them here, solve problems. Hopefully we'll have these guys back on the Inventor Hour of the program so they can talk a little bit about their experience with going through that whole process. But we had a big discussion about plumbing and solving a problem, but that's what this is all about. And 90% of the jobs that are created in manufacturing are from little companies like yours and mine. It's not the big billions of dollars solar manufacturing thing or the automotive industry that is really driving this. It's startups like you guys and companies that were severely downsized from the golden days of when, we took over a plant that had 2,300 employees. We're 65 right now. But we're still going strong and we're still keeping the candle lit and helping to keep manufacturing, engineering, CAD design, trades, and all of that going strong here in the United States. And I really appreciate having you guys on the show and thank you for getting it done. And I'm sure you feel the same way. Keith, what is this a kind of a passion for you?
Oh, yes, it definitely is. After going through the process of working on the patent, I called up. I had a patent before on another design of another invention that I invented. Oh gosh, back in 2004 or 5. I had that patent attorney, and I called him up and I sent him off all the stuff, and he's like, "I love you guys. You guys are always thinking outside the box. You're just you do all this brilliant stuff, and you just always working on something. You're all creative." And so I sent him all the stuff for Coda back then, and he's just helped me out and watch it grow, and it's amazing. The patent process is a whole nother conversation. Manufacturing here in America, let me tell you, that's a good conversation there too, because when you call up somebody and you have a drawing or something like that, and you're trying to find a manufacturer, they're all asking you, you want to make 5,000 or 10,000 of these. It's hard to get somebody to make 500.
Right. We're going to have to take a quick break here, and we will be right back with more on Coda from Keith and Sy.
Don't have the time or expertise to market your small business? Constant Contact's powerful digital marketing platform helps you grow your audience, engage your customers, and sell more to boost your business. Now, with just a few clicks, you can launch a personalized marketing campaign that includes email, social, SMS, and more tailored to your business and your goals. Save time and get real results with Constant Contact. Try it free today at ConstantContact.com.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Home Talk USA on the King Broadcasting Network. This is the Made in America Hour. I'm your host, Greg Owens, and I'm here with Keith and Sy from CODA, Colorado Offset Drain Attachment. Keith, when we left off, you were segueing into talking a little bit about the challenges and the opportunities in manufacturing things here in the United States, and how fortunate you were to find a guy like Sy who could help you out with some of the design and the drawings and all that kind of stuff. Talk to us a little bit about your experience and where we're at and where you think we need to head and what we need to get done.
Okay. Well, where I kind of left off is, trying to find a manufacturer here in America that wants to help a startup. It's a little difficult to do that, but a lot of these companies, they're large companies, and and everybody was nice. Let me tell you that. When I would talk to some of these larger companies, they would always try to give me, advice to go to this person or this person. And they said, well, when you're ready to do large numbers, please look us up. We'd be happy to entertain what you're doing and give you pricing accordingly, for your numbers and stuff like that, should you ever reach these certain levels. And I got a lot of good advice from certain people, but I had to go through certain chains of command, and there's a few charlatans out there. You have to be aware of that too. There's a few sharks swimming in the water, so you have to be careful. And then I finally found a place, a company that I'm with now, and they're called Proto Labs. They're in Maple Plains, Minnesota. And what's nice about them is they will manufacture, 200 of them or 500 of them or 1,000 of them whenever you need them. They help with the cost of the molds, to be inexpensive if you're a startup. And we found a good fit with them, or I found a really good fit with them, I should say. And they are an injection mold company. And part of CODA is another piece to CODA is a, what's the longer piece? That's
the extrusion mold.
Extrusion mold.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah. So I had to find another company to do an extrusion mold for me, and that's a company called Inline Plastics out of Ontario, California. So we manufacture in Minnesota, and we also manufacture out of Southern California, and then we have those parts shipped to South Carolina, correct?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay. North Carolina, a place called Packaging Lines, and we have everything packaged there. So, and then everything ships from there. So everything we've done is all made here in America, which is what I'm all about. I can't see shipping anything out of here, to have it made in China or Japan or anything like that.
Well, yeah, especially now, and I commend you guys for that commitment to Made in America. So here's my next question. I'm a contractor. I'm a tile setter. I'm a guy who's had this problem that we just described, and I'm going, wow, this is a miracle. Where do I find this product? Sy,
tell them all
designed the website, right?
Yeah.
Where do we go? Where do we send them?
Well, right at the top of the website, it's super easy to find. We've got an Order Now button. And that allows you to order directly from wherever in the country. We'll send it straight to you. The other feature we've got on our website is a store locator. Like you're supporting us and supporting American businesses, we like to do the same thing. And all of our retailers, we're in a ton of locations all across the country. They're all available on a map right on our website. So you can see nearby if there's any stores that have our product, and you can go down there and support their business as well.
Okay,
But
and
of
then
course,
that website, because
yeah.
when I looked it up, I Coda, and my joke there at the beginning of the show was, of course, you get the Led Zeppelin album, right?
Oh, yeah.
So CodaUS.com, right? That's where you go.
CodaUS.com. That's CODAUS.com.
Right. And nice website, by the way. I liked it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Should I explain a little bit about what Coda does? A little more?
Yeah, we're going to run out of time, but take a crack at it, and then we'll have to have you back on another time to really get into the nuts and bolts of what it does.
Okay, just a real quick thing. What Coda does, it's an offset drain attachment. So let's say you pull out a regular fiberglass tub surround, or you have an old shower where the old shower clamp drain is there. Well, you can always install a new clamp drain where the P-trap is. And what Coda does, instead of calling a plumber up to, or having anybody, if you want to move it 5 feet, 6 inches, 30 inches, jackhammer through the concrete and move the original drain and P-trap, you leave the original drain and P-trap there. You put in a new clamp drain, and then what Coda does, it extends across the pan from there. It's a low-profile drain system. It sticks up about maybe 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches, and it goes through the mud in the shower pan over top of the waterproofing. We have one that goes over top of the waterproofing, package A, and package B goes through foam pans and through the mud for top coat waterproofing and bond flange drains. And what it does, it's called a dirty arm in the plumbing business, and you're able to relocate that drain up to 8 feet in that waterproofed area if you want to, and re-extend that out there and put your new drain wherever you would like, out on that floor, out in the shower. If you're doing a large shower, small shower, if you need to move it 4 inches, 6 inches, 30 inches, 8 feet, and Coda allows you to do that. And there's a couple pieces. There's one piece that you can cut down in there to modify it. Whatever you need to do, it makes it simple. If you go onto the website and you watch the videos, it's very easy to see how it's all done together, and it glues together simply. Builders can do it. Plumbers can do it. Weekend warriors can do it. If you have a little bit of plumbing knowledge, would be best. And just depends on whatever area you're in. You're going to have to go to the plumbing codes there. But Coda is certified by NSF. We're certified to the U.S. and Canadian standards and to the International Plumbing Code. So please check us out. You can buy it online, or you can buy it at your local store.
We've done it again. We've run out of time. I had a whole another list of questions to do, but we'll have you guys back on shortly, America. This is Home Talk USA on the King Broadcasting Network. This has been the Made in America Hour. I'm your host, Greg Owens. We'll see you again next week.